Hi, my name's Sam McLean. I'm a practicing emergency physician. My research is focused on trying to understand how adverse post-traumatic neuropsychiatric sequelae, such as post-traumatic stress, chronic pain, and depression, develop after traumatic stress exposure. And I try to develop interventions to prevent these outcomes. I've had the great good fortune these recent years to be the national organizing PI of the AURORA Study, a major national initiative funded by the National Institutes of Health and the DoD that is working to try to make progress towards these goals. One Mind has been a critical advocate of this work, and through major financial support, One Mind has really turbocharged the study and made what we're doing possible. AURORA is yielding a multitude of important studies, from molecular mechanisms to brain changes responsible for post-traumatic symptoms and suffering. The terrific work by Dr. Lebois and colleagues focuses on derealization. Derealization is the sense of being emotionally disconnected from one's surroundings. That can happen after traumatic stress exposure. And we know that people who experience derealization symptoms might be at risk of more prolonged or severe post-traumatic suffering. What Dr. Lebois and colleagues found and demonstrated was that people who had persistent derealization symptoms, symptoms that didn't just last for a few days, but lasted for a few weeks after trauma, were at much greater risk of having prolonged post-traumatic symptoms, such as post-traumatic stress and depression. Further, they gained a much better understanding of the brain regions and the interconnected regions in the brain that cause these symptoms. And that's really critical, and a great example of how the work of AURORA is shedding new light on not just who's vulnerable, but why they're vulnerable. That is, what brain differences or changes occur after trauma and mediate the symptoms that cause such suffering. This information is critical, not only to identify those who are at high risk, but to develop better preventive and treatment interventions for people struggling with prolonged post-traumatic symptoms.